shell cordovan belt that I sneakily launched yesterday evening and I announced it this morning. We've put these up on the site as a pre-order, and there's only so much leather that we have to be able to make each of these. So we've decided to do them as this pre-order to make the appropriate sizes. It's pretty tricky with the cordovan belt, given that pieces of shell cordovan are not terribly long. Actually, let me find a shell to show you what I'm talking about here. Like here's a random piece of natural shell. And I'll lay it out on the table and show you what I'm talking about here. Okay, this piece of cordovan is that big. And you'll see that the belt is much, much longer than that piece of leather. That requires us to make it in segments. So we do them in 3 different segments with this little joint that we have figured out, and it took us a while to figure these out. So Amaretto, I'm really excited to offer for this drop because it's my favorite shell cordovan color. The last time we did these was the black cordovan, where we had a black, it was a Mystic leather from Horween. It was a liner. It's kind of like Horween's Dublin leather. And that was the first time that we've done a shell belt with a non-horse butt lining. So this time we brought it back to the horse butt again, and the concept of using the backside with the horse butt leather as opposed to the cordovan is to bring it back full circle to what the cordovan was originally tanned for in 1905. So people might not be familiar with this, but originally when Horween was producing shell cordovan 100 plus years ago, that leather was intended to be used for razor strops. And these razor strops were pretty much what this belt looks like. A big long piece of leather, one side of which you could use to sharpen your straight razor, and on the other side, you would use it to hone that straight razor. And those 2 pieces of leather were different. One of them was cordovan and one of them was this veg tan horse butt. So that's exactly what we've done here with these belts. We have the cordovan side here, and then on the back side, it's the horse butt strip. So in theory, you'll keep your pants up with this thing, but also potentially you could just hang it up on the wall and sharpen it, which would be kind of funny. I don't necessarily recommend that, but you could, in theory, you could totally do that. What's up, BFET? Yeah, I think I'm gonna be coming to New York for boot camp. I haven't finalized that plan yet. I am actually going to New York. I'm flying out today to the UK, and then next week I'll be in New York also. So I'm all over the place. It's crazy. I just wanted to pop on here to show you that shell belt. We launched them today. We're gonna leave it up for about a week or until they sell out. Seems like people are already picking up a bunch of these. So if it's a color that's interesting to you, I recommend it. And the other thing that's unique about these belts that I probably should have led with is you'll find, or I see in the world, most shell belts are a little bit more of a narrow dress type of belt. I mean, personally, I wear a lot of boots, so wearing that dressy belt might be totally fine with boots. But I think there's something about these belts that we're making. They're 1.5 inch wide strips here. And I think the width and then the thickness, and it's sort of our general aesthetic, makes them much more appropriate for a boot wearing, denim wearing type of guy. So they're a little bit more tough and a little wider than most dress belts, and that's why I recommend it for more of a casual type of person. Whoa, is that French? I'm so sorry, I can't speak French or read it. What's up, runners? You're loving your Herbie on holiday with it at the moment. Nice, where you at? It's runners. And the other thing I wanted to show you guys today is what the football leather looks like. I guess I'll put back my cordovan. Extreme close-up. Excuse me. All right, so I'll flip you around here and show you the shell belt again, but underneath that is the football leather. And there's actually, we're starting to cut these today for the football leather pre-orders because a lot of this stuff is already sold out and we've promised to get it to you by opening weekend. So you'll notice that some of these are already sold out and we've allocated the rest of the leather here to the things that seem to be a little bit more popular. So Johnny the Fox bifold, still available. We got the Capone available. We've got our Coaster 4-pack, which I'm really happy with. We've got our lighter and lighter sheath. And then we have our game day bundle, which is discounted. So if you want a bunch of different football stuff with a bottle opener, you might want to check that out. And then the last thing that I should have brought to the table is the Lucky Wallet. It seems like people have been clamoring a bit about the Lucky Wallet, so we've allocated extra leather to make more Lucky Wallets if you guys wanted to try that out. Whoa, Germany. Man, I want to go to Germany. Okay, here's what the football leather looks like. And this is actual football leather that, if it wasn't finished for our purposes, would have been sent to a football manufacturer to make game balls. So this is the same exact leather that they are playing with on the field, although we've purposefully left out the stickiness because we figured you probably didn't want a super tacky sort of leather in your pocket. It would have functioned, but probably not the best. So we just sort of omitted that tackiness, but still give you the same color and those little dimples that you can see on the game day balls. The cool thing about football leather, that's pretty subtle on the table here, but this leather actually is a little bit tipped. And that, what I mean by tipped is, if you look closely at the texture, you'll notice that the peaks of the football texture are slightly darker. They're a little bit more brown, where the valleys are a little bit more red and cherry. So it's got a really beautiful depth of color. And then as you wear this in your pocket, it will slowly accumulate more and more patina, which will further accentuate that depth and that sort of tipped look. So this leather is vegetable tanned, and as people that are probably here in the live chat are familiar with, veg tan leathers tend to develop a dramatic patina. Now this is covered up with a bit of color. So for that reason, I think it will more slowly appreciate with the patina character, but it will certainly darken just with normal use. Hit up Lombardi's Pizza when I go to New York. I will, man. I'm going to be staying on or in Manhattan for a couple days, and we have a wedding to go to in, what's it called? It's in Brooklyn, I think. So if Lombardi's is near me, I'm totally going to do that. But the football leather is really cool. The thing I want to emphasize even further, other than that Lucky Wallet, is the Johnny the Fox. And we have this, for me, every time we make a fox, it's really special because they're not particularly easy to make. And we specifically choose naturally thin pieces of leather for all of the card holders on the inside of this guy. And that's because there's so many layers that if we were to choose the normal thickness of the leather on the outside, this will just be way too bulky and thick. That's one area where I see a lot of other wallet makers stumble, in my opinion, is by using the same thickness everywhere. I think it just chunks up the wallet too much. So we choose naturally thin leathers for the inside. We don't thin these down, which is why we have to choose them naturally thin. There's two other stumble points. One stumble point is thinning down leather from the outside, for example. You could thin this little section down, have it go over the edge, and then stitch it down inside here. I've seen maybe hundreds of wallets from customers at this point where that skive and turn, the thinning of the leather and turning it over, it starts to rip on this border, especially on the corners. You've probably even seen it yourself. That's because the leather has been thinned down way too aggressively. When you start to dig into the cross section here too far, all these fibers work together. So when you dig into it and you start removing some of those fibers, you lose all the strength. It works in a system from the grain layer all the way to the flesh. All those fibers are sort of a mesh together. So when you remove some, it's almost like removing the foundation of your house. So that's a problem. The other thing that we do to guarantee a wallet that will last forever is to not use hard finishes for the edges. So what we do is we apply a little bit of aniline stain. In this case, we're actually using a cherry color to match the football leather pretty nicely. So we'll hand stain all these edges, apply a little bit of beeswax, and then use a ton of burnishing by hand with a piece of canvas to get this really smoothed out look. And the reason that we do that, which is more work and much more substantial, honestly, I like the look of it. But the alternative of using those harder sort of acrylics and paints for the edges is they tend to crack. So that's the other place I see a lot of wallets look a little beat up, is the edges, that finish sort of pops off and cracks, and it's not a great look. So we've purposefully done things for all our designs, and in particular Johnny Fox. There's a lot of extra detail that goes in there that you might not see to ensure that it will last forever. So there you go. That's my leather spiel. Salesman. It's your leather salesman for the day. So if you guys, I'll hang out for a couple more minutes before I go hop onto a plane here. If you guys have any questions, I would love to answer them. I appreciate you guys so much for supporting us with the 13-year event that we did a couple weeks ago. And I appreciate you guys supporting us with these shell belts and the football stuff. It seems like people are picking up a lot of leather goods from us, and I'm just so thankful that you guys give us the opportunity to do this for you. All right, so hit up Lombardi's for sure. I should look that up. When I'm in Brooklyn, hit up Grimaldi's, right under the Brooklyn Bridge. I think I will be near that area, BFET. All right. Yeah, with the shoe camp thing, I'm a little hesitant because I haven't thought far ahead enough about that event. And I'm a little nervous about having a topic to cover. I haven't really locked down with Nick, my podcast co-host, on whether or not he's going to be there as well, because we had thoughts and plans with the organizers of Shoe Camp to have a little live podcast Q&A kind of thing with the attendees of that event, which I think would be really cool. I don't want to be too weird about it, but I'm kind of a busy guy, and like I haven't thought enough about how to make that happen. But that would be really fun. So I probably should make an extra effort to make that, will it into existence. All right, no questions today. This is great. It's so much easier, but less fun. I will say this, Topo Chico, if you're watching, I drink at least 5 of your cans of beverage every day. So if you want to sponsor Ashland Leather, I'm all ears. What's up, Zestly? How you doing? All right. Well, easy live chat today. Hey, Curtis. Yeah, so today I'm getting on a plane. I'm going to the UK. I have in addition to doing all the leather stuff and podcasting and all that, I also play music. So I'm playing in a really cool music festival in Bristol called Arctangent, and my band's going to play for before some other bands that I really admire. So I think it'll be the largest audience that I'll ever perform for. So it's supposed to be like 10,000 people. And I'm surprised I'm not nervous. I'm more excited to just go play. I'm really excited. So we'll get on a plane, hop over there, play the next day. It's going to be really fun. Your wedding in Dumbo, down under Manhattan Bridge overpass. Dumbo's that part of, it's like Union City or something like that, I think is where the wedding's going to be. I'm not sure. I don't know. I didn't know Dumbo was that acronym for down under Manhattan Bridge overpass. That's funny. The more you know. All right, guys, I'm gonna take off. But if there's any last questions about the Amaretto shell belts or the football stuff, I'm happy to answer those questions. But we'll be closing off orders for football this week. If you're on the newsletter, which I recommend checking out the newsletter, you'd be the first to know everything there that we're doing. We'll be sending out a newsletter, closing these off at the end of the week, and then next week we'll be closing off the shell belt stuff. So, or if they're all sold out first, that might happen sooner, because we are only making a limited amount of each of these things. But I appreciate you guys very much, and I'll see you again later. One last thing, or two last things, I guess. Check out the Full Grain podcast. You can find it on Apple and Spotify. We put on an episode this morning that goes over some leather finishing with the tanner from Horween. So Full Grain Podcast is recommended to check out if you're total leather dork like I am. And if you also love patina, in particular, the way the patina accumulates on leather, I cannot recommend enough the Ashland Leather Patina Masters group on Facebook. It's a Facebook group. Check out Ashland Leather Patina Masters over there. People are posting crazy looking patina. There was a guy named North that put up a photo. It looked like he was camping or something with his natural shell Johnny the Fox. It's like the glassiest piece of cordovan I've ever seen. And people are over there sharing how their stuff's wearing in, and it's really special. So I encourage you guys to check that out too. Alrighty, guys. Full Grain Podcast, best podcast on the internet. Yeah, we're huge. We get like 1,000 listeners. And I kind of wish, I think our format is a little in the weeds. So it's definitely a podcast for people that are deep into the topic, and it's not for general audiences. So if you're deep in the weeds, it's the best it's the best leather podcast. I'll say that much. All right. Hey, thanks, Jeff D. Hope you guys, I actually haven't listened to the episode today. I did edit it, but probably go listen to this episode on the airplane to make sure I didn't put anything embarrassing in there. I can still cut it out. All right, guys. Thanks again for your support. I appreciate it. Have a good day. See ya.